Subway is one of the largest and most respected brands in existence today. But with fierce competition in the quick service restaurant business, they always have to remain one step ahead and at the top of consumers' minds.
The process for deciding what's actually going to become a campaign, what's going to make it on air or make it in a publication, comes down to a very thorough review process, a lot of back and forth, a lot of revisions to hone the message and to make sure everything that we do is very particular and very specific to the need versus any throwaway or ancillary detail. And then, frankly, the process of testing with consumers becomes a very critical part in judging what actually makes it to air.
There are a number of markets that are still very much in development, and in those types of markets, you're not the big global brand that everybody knows about. You're actually the new upstart who's trying to talk to people about what do we stand for, what do we offer.
In a market that's a little more developed, you may start to talk about a little different things, maybe the way the product is made, or maybe even special offers that you now can invest in and talk to.
As managing partner of MMB, one of Subway's advertising agencies in Boston, Chad Caulfield works in tandem with Subway to craft targeted advertising campaigns.
Subway has an incredibly powerful marketing arm to it, and it's growing globally. The resources that Subway themselves bring to the process through the groups that they have within the company, the marketing team, the R&D team, the insights team, the analytics team, being able to marshal those resources to set the vision and then figure out how to execute the mission, it becomes, I don't want to say easy because it's never easy, but it becomes a very programmed way to approach it.
This sense of programming and staying on message is also shared by Ted Worth of FAF, Subway's franchisee advertising fund. The fund is supported by each Subway franchisee, who is required to contribute a percentage of sales to a collective advertising budget.
There is the local board FAF, which kind of helps to support local communications and makes decisions there as to what's best to promote within that region. And then there is our national FAF, which is kind of like the countries, or like, so the US has a specific board, and then there is international, and that's the whole world, and it's a global view of how everything is supported and how funds are spent.
What we're trying to do for those franchisees is build sales, build traffic, but ultimately build profitability. So, one of the challenges that's inherent in any marketing and advertising program is trying to get that mix right. There are programs that you could do that might drive sales on the top line. There's other programs that you could do that might be very effective at driving traffic. But ultimately, whatever your approach or whatever levers you're pulling to try to do that, you need to make sure you're delivering growth and profitability for the franchisee.
Ultimately, it's the consumer who decides what works in advertising with the products they choose to buy.
We have to be extremely nimble. And while we definitely look at our competition, there's other variables out there that really are impactful on what we do. Whether it be the economy, there could be politics, there could be world items that are going on, or issues. It could be weather related, you name it. We know what's going on, so we need to make sure that we're hitting all cylinders at all times to ensure that we are going fast and furious. Historically, we've had several successes in our campaigns. Jared is probably one of the most well-known. He came in actually kind of at a grassroots level, submitted by an article by a college buddy, submitted to a local advertising agency at one point. It swelled into a national phenomenon.
Much like the Jared advertisements that were so successful, the $5 footlong campaign also came from a store owner looking to increase business, an idea that's borne fruit for Subway on an international level.
$5 footlongs basically, at its core, was offering consumers a consistent, predictable value experience so that they know they could go to any Subway, whether it be in New York or LA or in the middle of the country, and they know they could go into a restaurant and there'd be something consistent that they could hang their hat on and that they'd be able to get.
For all the major league advertising campaigns Subway produces, there are far more subtle efforts to get consumers through restaurant doors.
The campaigns, they vary in all sizes and all sorts. We do things as small as search engine optimization, which is kind of making sure that we have our placement of search, to grandiose as being on national coverage for TV. We're really big, not only just in commercials, but we do integrations. You might have seen us on The Biggest Loser. There are opportunities where we are really a great tie with the programming.
In addition to hitting home runs, you've got to hit the singles and doubles along the way. I think the key is recognizing that growth is not just going to come from one place, but we have to have a lot of things working for us within the pipeline to drive the bigger growth for Subway.
Subway is also tuned into new technologies that drive their target consumers.
We find that people are using technologies. That's who our consumer is. They are aware of what they're doing. And so we're always looking to ensure that we're talking to the next generation in some facet.
No better platform than social media to be able to have a direct dialogue with customers. Yes, still be able to amplify some of the things we want to talk about, but also, hear more from the consumers in terms of how they're feeling about the brand and what they think are the good things and the opportunities that we face.
By staying true to their brand personality and focusing on what works for the consumer, Subway continues to build on one of the most comprehensive advertising strategies in the world.
Subway being a brand that is very collaborative across the globe, we're always looking at what's being done in the UK or being done in Australia or Germany, in Canada as well. At the same time, I think they're looking at what we're doing here, and ideally we're looking for ways to blend assets. Certainly the brand vision remains the same globally. You tend to execute it locally because there are specifics that you need to focus on, but trying to find ways to efficiently blend assets and blend messages where if we do something that they can use, that's great.
In a lot of companies, it's actually viewed just as an expense. I spend dollars on marketing and advertising. Hopefully I drive some people into my restaurant, but if you think of marketing and advertising as an asset, you'll have a very different approach to how you develop programs over time.